Hello, this is the instructional video for the game Some Beach, created by Alex Brock and Lavender Allen, the Rock'em Sock'em Panda Bears. Alright, so let's just get into it. First we're going to talk about game setup. This game is meant for 2 to 4 players. And so first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the roll cards. There are 7 roll cards total. And you're going to want to make sure that you give each player 1 roll card. You will do this randomly. And you're going to want to take note of 3 very important pieces of information that you on the roll card that you receive. First, you're going to want to look at the age. The person who receives the roll card with the youngest age will be the first player. Then you're going to want to know your treasure goal, symbolized here. This is your goal. Each roll has its own has a different set of these 3 symbols. And each symbol represents a type of treasure in the game. You have your jewelry treasure, symbolized by the crown, money treasure, symbolized by the stack of coins, and a souvenir treasure, symbolized by a seashell. So each roll is going to have its own goal that it's trying to get to. Hilda wants to get 1 of each type of treasure. You may get a roll that wants 2 jewelry treasures and a money treasure. So you're going to want to keep track of that, because once you get the treasures according to your goal first, you win the game. Next thing you're going to want to look at is your ability that your roll grants you. This is going to be a unique ability, and it'll apply only to you, and it will apply throughout the whole game. Okay, so after you hand everybody their rolls and determine who goes first, you're going to want to set up the beach decks. So there are 5 different beach decks. They look like this. They each have a colored bar on the bottom. Those colored bars have inside them treasure symbols that you'll recognize from the roll cards. This refers to what kinds of treasures can be found in those decks. You'll notice that 2 decks, the red deck and the orange deck, have all 3 types of treasures, whereas the other 3 decks only have 2 of the types of treasures. There's also a greater than symbol here on these 3 decks. This means that that particular treasure is found more so in that deck than the other type that's found in that deck. For reference, you can look at the back of the roll cards and refer to the different color sections. So you have this blue bar here, shows that there are 3 jewelry treasures and 2 money treasures in the blue deck. So that's what this means. This is significant because if you're looking for, you need 2 money treasures and 1 souvenir treasure, you're going to think, oh, the yellow deck is my best bet. So that's why you would want to know, to be able to read, you'll know where to look at the beach, basically. Also note that in the red deck, there is a treasure card that counts as any type of treasure. So that's what that means. That's what the red, or the rainbow star means. There is a treasure in here that counts as anything. Okay, so you're going to separate the 5 beach decks, make sure everything is shuffled. And then you're going to take the top card of the beach deck and place it in front of its corresponding deck. Very simple. Okay, and then you're going to place these advancement markers. There's 5 because there's 5 beach decks, so just place them 1 in front of each of the cards. Also, I forgot to say this, if you receive Otis or Ernest, these 2 rolls here, you've got the developer and the prospector, you'll also receive either the gold bar or the brick. And it says on your roll, so that's what the gold bar and the brick are for. It's for their ability, their specific roll ability that they get, which you can read, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so you're going to set the top card in front of the decks. These are the face-down cards at the beach. So if you have an ability that refers to that, it's referring to these cards. These are the cards players will be working on to dig up. The decks, you can see, you'll know what would come after that card is removed. So if this card's, if somebody uncovers this card, this one will replace it. Very simple. You also have the metal detector. You're going to want to keep that somewhere just nearby for when people need to use it. And then you have the community deck. It looks like this. You know, doesn't have any of these symbols on it, so that's how you can identify that. Now, you're going to want to make sure that the community deck is shuffled and also within reach of all players. Alright, so now we can begin play. Okay, so during your turn, you are going to do things in a specific order. So you're going to draw your cards, and each player is going to draw 6 cards. You're going to draw these cards face up and one at a time. And I'll explain why it's like that later. So you're going to draw your 6 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is your initial draw. When you draw your cards for your turn, that's your initial draw, which if you might get a card or an ability that refers to your initial draw, it's referring to this draw. Okay, so the community deck is going to start out with these different types of cards. This is the only one that I got the same of, so I'll explain each one here. These 3 cards are what's called tool cards. You'll notice they match the symbols on the backs of the beach deck cards. These are the lifeblood of the game. This is how you're going to use these cards as actions to advance cards on the beach, to dig them up and either add them to your treasure collection or to the deck. These are tool cards. You may have an ability or something or another card that refers to a tool card. It's referring to one of these 3 cards. You have your Gusto, your Fanny Pack, and your Shovel. Alright? The tool cards also have a specific ability that once they have been played, if you play one that's the same, that matches the symbol, you get the second one for free, which I'll demonstrate in a little bit. So these are tool cards. There's 3 different types of tool cards in the game. Alright? The other 2 cards that start off in the community deck are these 2 cards. You have your batteries, which we'll demonstrate later, and binoculars, which we will also demonstrate. Okay, so during your turn, you get 3 actions. You get to play 3 actions. Alright, so to play an action, simply you'll just declare, I'm going to play this, and you will set it in front of you. So, I guess I should talk about first advancing the cards on the beach. So, the way these advancement tracks work on the cards, some may have, like this one has 3, this one only requires 2, and some of them require 4. You'll notice. Okay? There's also arrows that depict the order in which they need to be accomplished, or in order in which they need to be advanced. So, for this one, I would not be able to play a Fanny Pack before I played a Gusto card. Now, so pretty simply, if you want to play an action, you just need to play the one that matches to advance it, and then you put the marker there. I'll show you what this looks like by, I'm going to play this one. So for my first action, I'm going to play this Gusto card, and I will advance here. For my second action, I'm going to play this Fanny Pack card, and I'll advance here. For my third action, I will play this Shovel card and advance here. Also, note that you can work on you do not have to work on a single card in your turn. You can work on, I could have done the Gusto here and the Fanny Pack here if I wanted to. So you don't have to do one whole card. You can do multiple ones if you choose, as long as you have the actions and the cards to do so. So, I'll advance. So I'll play my first action here, second action I'll go here, third action I'll go here. When you get to the last marker, which is always going to be a shovel, you're going to get that card. Now, there are 3 different types of cards in the beach decks. You have cards like this that are just like regular actions. they'll have a picture and just text, and that'll give you a specific ability. When you get this card, if you reveal this card, that just goes to your hand. You can play it immediately if you have the actions to. If not, no big deal, but it goes to your hand. The second type of card you might find in the beach deck are treasure cards. They are identified by a treasure symbol. So if you reveal a card that is a treasure symbol, or that has a treasure symbol, it's going to go to your treasure collection. So you'll just place it in front or near your roll card, and it gives you an ability for the rest of the game. And it says it, and that ability says it on there. So this one specifically says you can keep up to 3 cards in hand rather than discarding them. Okay, and it counts for a jewelry treasure. Now you'll still keep treasure even if you don't need that one. If you're like, let's say I was only looking for money and souvenirs, I still keep this, and it still gives me a bonus. So it just doesn't count for my treasure goal. Right? So if you reveal a treasure card, you're gonna put that into your treasure collection. You may also get a penalty card. Now, penalty cards, if you reveal a penalty card at the beach, like if you discover a card, or if you dig up a penalty card, this does not go to your hand. It does not penalize you during this instance. Instead, you're going to place it on the top of the beach deck. And this is why cards are revealed when you're drawing your initial draw. This is why you do it anytime. Whenever you're drawing cards, this is why you only do it one at a time and face up, because some of the penalty cards may have an immediate effect when they're revealed. If you draw it and you reveal it, then that penalty card is going to affect you. Now, if you happen to be the one, let's say I had uncovered this penalty card, I found it on the beach, and I put it on the face up. It's not going to affect me when I found it, but later on, let's say I draw that penalty card, it does affect you then. It's only when you first find it that it doesn't affect you. Okay, so if you uncover a penalty card, it'll go on the top of the deck. Alright, so, and this would be replaced. Okay, so I would like to demonstrate another thing real quick. So tool cards have a special ability in that once you play one type of that treasure, or of that tool, I'm sorry, the next one that you play, or any subsequent ones you play, are free. So I will give you an example of that. Okay, let's say I wanted to advance. Let's say I'm going to take my turn, okay? I'm going to play my first action here. I'm going to play this fanny pack. Then I'm going to play this shovel. Alright? Now, this card needs a second shovel, so I happen to have a second shovel in hand. I will play that shovel. Alright, that shovel was free. So, although I did 3 tools, I still have an action left. So I would reveal that, go to my treasure collection, and I can continue on. Alright, so for my third action, let's say, I could play this treasure, or I could play any of these actions. For the sake of this video, I'm going to play the metal detector so I can demonstrate how it is used. Now, if you want to use the batteries as your action, this is how it's done. Okay, so you're going to say, okay, I'm going to play this action, the battery, to use the metal detector. Alright, you're going to take the metal detector, and keep in mind that the magnet is right here on, it's where the head is, or the little head thing of the metal detector is. And if there is metal in the cards, they will be in the center of the cards right around here. I would suggest that you, before the game, you separate a metal card so that you know, and then test it out so you know what it feels like to find a metal card. That one happened to be a penalty. This wouldn't affect me, it would go to the deck, because I found it. But that's the only time the nails wouldn't affect me. If I draw nails later, they do affect me, even though I put them in the deck. Okay, so, yes, so that's how you use the metal detector. Now, when you're using the metal detector to scan cards at the beach, you can do this in any order. But if you find a metal a metal card, you immediately stop using the metal detector. And now, if you wanted to use it to scan the rest of the cards, you would need another action to use it again. This prevents anyone from finding more than one metal card in a turn, because they are significantly special. This one just so happens to be a penalty, but it is the only one that is a penalty. The rest of them are good. Okay, so another thing I want to talk about using the metal detector is, I forgot to separate, is using the super battery for the metal detector. Let me find it. Okay, so if you wanted to use the super battery as your action, you would play it, and it says, use the metal detector to scan to the top 3 cards of any beach deck. Okay, so how you would use that is you would just, so you're going to select the deck, right? And you're going to, first you're going to pick the top one off, right? And you'll scan it. It was not a metal card, right? Oh, I remember I had it in here. Okay, so first I'll do is I'll scan the top one, right? I'm only doing the green one now because I remembered I had set it up to where it was in the top, the metal card was in the top 3. So ignore what I did there. So I'm going to use this to, I'll play this action, you know, do the first one, it's not metal. The second one is metal, right? Same rule applies as when scanning, using the metal detector to scan cards on the beach. If you find a metal card, you stop using the metal detector and you automatically get it. This is that is the benefit of the metal detector in that you don't have to, you did not have to spend, you know, any time advancing or any, you know, any actions to advance it. You just automatically get it. So, all right. So you would get this card. It would go to your treasure collection or its respective place, depending on what it is, and then replace the cards in reverse order back on top. So if you had scanned 3 cards, you would place them back that way. This way, the order of the cards didn't change. All right, I think I went over everything. Right, so the first player to, oh, one more thing. I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to clarify it anyways. This is a communal deck building game, so once you've taken your reactions, you don't have to take all your actions. You can, if you choose not, you can take no actions on your turn if you chose to. It's just you can only take up to 3 actions, unless you have something that grants you more for whatever reason. Okay, so once you decide you don't want to take any more actions or you cannot take any more actions, what you're going to do is you're going to discard any cards that you played, and you're also going to discard any cards remaining in your hand. These go into the discard, and then the next player is going to go, and they will take their turn. So this is one of the penalty cards where it specifically matters. It does something as soon as it's revealed. Some of them don't, such as this one. So we'll just put this one here. I'll do that as a second example. Okay, so this was revealed. So when you reveal on your initial draw a penalty card, you're going to want to read it first to make sure it doesn't have an immediate effect. This one does. It says you can't draw more than 4 cards this turn. If this card is drawn after your 4th, then you just stop drawing cards. So I can only draw 4, whereas normally I would draw 6. Okay, so then I would take my turn as normal, right? So let's say this hadn't been there. Let's say this had been there instead. Okay, right, so I would reveal it. It doesn't have an immediate action, so I would continue to draw my 6 cards. But it is mandatory. It does have an effect since I drew it. This still happens. It just happens after I've drawn. So now I have 1 less action to use. Okay, so this turn I drew these cards. I have a dead card in my hand and only 2 actions to play. So you would take your turn as normal. Once your turn is over, you discard all the cards. And just in any deck building game, if you need to draw cards and there is not enough in the deck, you'll draw whatever's left, shuffle all the cards in the discard pile, which may have had treasure cards added, or beach deck cards added to it. So you'll shuffle it, and you'll draw the remaining cards. Okay, that I think was the last bit that I had forgotten to explain. Alright, I hope you enjoy our game. We definitely enjoyed making it. Alright, have fun!